Hello, this is Mark, and welcome to my replay of the 1978 one-game playoff between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. I will be doing this one-game playoff replay using a game named Payoff Pitch Baseball, which is a baseball board game that I discovered just a month or two ago, and I like it, and I will tell you some of the things I like about it as we play the game. But first of all, I'd like to tell you that I'm playing the game using a program that I wrote that copies the way payoff pitch baseball plays when you have dice and cards and paper and pencil and those kinds of things. So this makes it easier to play for me. It has a lot of different options that I programmed in. One you can play the entire season if you want to, and have computer logic make the in-game decisions. But each game is played in order, and each game is played with the starting lineup and the starting pitcher that was used in real life in 1978. The other way to do it is you can play a whole season of your favorite team and have the computer play all the other games in the background and have the computer manage the team you're playing each game. Again, it uses all the same starting lineups and starting pitchups. Or you can play one game at a time, which is what I'll do here. But before I started this program, this recording, I did play the entire season, and here's how it ended in my replay. Instead of Boston and New York tying with 99 and 63 records, Boston won by 7 games in this replay. So everything you see on my game will be based on this replay right here that you see here. But let's look at what happened in 1978. Here's the actual game. It happened in Boston. Boston won the coin flip, and they got to be the home team. Boston was ahead 2-0 in the 7th inning when the big play of the game happened, which was Bucky Dent's 3-run homer. And then they held on to win 5-4. The Yankees, that is. Here's the Yankees. Here are the Yankees box score. And I'll be using the same lineup here, and I'll try to match the pinch hitters and the relief pitchers as best I can as I play the game. Guidry was the starter. Gossage came in the 7th inning. Here's the Red Sox box score, and there's their pitchers: Torres, Stanley, Hassler, and Drago. So with that being said, I will bring up my game again and play the one-game playoff. So the game will be Yankees at Red Sox. As you can see, my game knows who the managers were in that year. Most of the year it was Martin for the Yankees and Zimmer for the Red Sox. Guidry was the starter. Torres was the starter. There's my starters. Okay, here's the batting statistics from the replay that I just did. You can see that Jackson and Nettles had a lot of home runs. Nobody on the Yankees had 100 RBIs. Some batters close to 300, but no one at 300. So I'll go ahead and put the lineup in here that was used. So Mickey Rivers led off, played center field. You can see the lineup on the left. Thurman Munson caught, batted second. Piniella played right field. Reggie Jackson was the designated hitter. Craig Nettles was the third baseman. Chambliss was the first baseman, as usual. Roy White was in left field. Brian Doyle was the second baseman. The game did not come with Brian Doyle, so I'm going to have to use Fred Stanley instead of Brian Doyle in this game. And then Bucky Dent batted last and played shortstop. So there's their lineup, just like it was in 1978. And I will go down and look at Boston's lineup so I can do that correctly. There's my Boston team. This is what happened in 1978 replay that I just did. Look at all those home runs. Boston had quite the team. Look at Jim Rice. He was the MVP, and looks like an MVP year in this replay. 33 home runs, 134 RBIs, and 319 batting average. But that being said, let's go ahead and input the lineup. It'll be Burleson leading off, Remy batting second, Jim Rice batting third. Rice played right field, so that Carl Yastrzemski could play left field in this one game. Fisk batted fifth. Fred Lynn batted sixth. Hobson was the DH. George Scott played first base. Jack Brohammer played third base in this replay for some reason. So there's the lineup there for the Red Sox. And with that, we start the game. So here's how I programmed this thing to play. You can see the home team field in the background, Boston's Fenway Park. Here up in the top left is the pitcher's card, so Mike Torres is pitching. You can see how this game works is you roll the two six-sided dice first, and that gives you a category on the pitcher card, either in play or defense or tough or patient, ballpark or wheelhouse. And then you roll the two-sided 10 dice, and you come over here to the batter's card here on the right, and depending on which category you got from the pitcher's card, you go to that category here on the batter's card. So wheelhouse is green, patient is yellow, tough is blue, and then in play is the white. And then all the outs are down on the bottom in pink. Back to the pitcher's card. Each pitcher in payoff pitch baseball has a fatigue. So the fatigue is the inning in which he gets tired. So Mike Torres in the 7th inning will get tired and fatigued, and that gives the batters an advantage. And what happens is that any ballpark turns into a wheelhouse automatically, and the patient ones are more slanted toward the batters getting hits. So you don't want to leave your pitchers in when they get fatigued. You want to take them out. What else about this page? Mike Torres is there, right-handed pitcher. Pitchers have numbers sometimes for a wild pitch or a strikeout. And Mike Torres, if you roll a 30, it's a wild pitch automatically. And here's Mickey Rivers leading off, and there's his statistics from the replay that just happened. He's an A bunter. That's what that letter's there for. So we will start the game by going ahead and having Mickey Rivers bat away. So we rolled a 6, which is patient. You can see on Torres's card. So we go over to the patient category, rolled a 27 for the batter card, and a 27 against the right-handed pitcher for Mickey Rivers is a leadoff double. So he doubled to right field. In this game, there is a way to do automatic stealing, and that's how I programmed this to work. So Rivers' running numbers is there underneath his picture at second base. For stealing, he's a 4 and a B, and for overall base running, he's a 7. So what that means is if you roll a 4 or lower, he will try to steal, and then the B is how good he is at stealing when he tries. The A is the best, B is second, and so on. So I rolled a 9 on the check for steal, and that's above a 4 for Rivers, so he will not steal. You can see that in the blue box there. So that being said, we will have Thurman Munson just hit away. So we do that, we roll a 6. Another patient category, this time Munson rolls an 81 on the two 10-sided dice, which is a fly out to center field. Let's see if Rivers tags and moves up. He did. He tagged up and moved up. Now, the way this works is based on his running number and where the ball went. And if it was a deep fly ball or just a low, short fly out, he tags and moves up, and the outfielder's arm has something to do with it too. So here's my defense for Boston. So that went to center field. Fred Lynn is a C3-7. That 7 is his throwing. The C and the 3 are when they do error checks for range or errors. So that there's all my defensive fielders. I can move them around. I could replace a defensive fielder in this game, but I won't do anything right now. So I will say no to that. Rivers is on third with 1 out. Pinella's up. Let's see if he can knock him in, and he can. We roll a 7, which is a tough category, but the 63 is a fly out to left, and since Rivers is fast, he tags and scores. So the Yankees are ahead 1-0. With Reggie Jackson comes up. There's another tough category. This time the 50 on Jackson's card, and tough against righty is a strikeout. 1 through 72 is a strikeout, so that ends the top of the first. Guidry is a fantastic pitcher in real life and in this game. Look at his card up here. Tough is the pitcher being tough on the batter. Patient is the batter being patient with the pitcher, and that's where he can get walks and hits. Tough is more pitcher benefit, and then in play is just kind of the batter put it in play, so there could be a hit or an out there. And then the green wheelhouse at the top is where the batter gets his power hits, where he gets his home runs, and a lot of doubles and triples and singles happen there. So the fact that Guidry has no wheelhouse means that the batters that face him don't get to go in the wheelhouse too often. He does have a ballpark, and when you get a ballpark, the ballpark is either a wheelhouse or a in play, and that's based on what field you're in, what ballpark you're in, and whether the batter's left or right. So if we get an in ballpark, we'll look at that card from Fenway Park. We get a tough. A 9 is a tough for Guidry, and a 48 is a strikeout against the left-handed pitcher Guidry. So Burleson strikes out. Jerry Remy gets a patient, which is good for the batter, but he rolled a high number, 82, which is a fly to right or fly to center. You can see where the red boxes pop up is where on the card those numbers would go. So instead of flipping cards around and finding your way on the cards each time, this program automatically rolls the dice randomly, and it tells you where on each card the results are. So this is a fly out to center field. Jim Rice comes up. It's a tough category from Guidry, and 89 is a ground out to second. So Guidry has an easy first inning. We go to the second inning, 1-0 Yankees. Here's the ballpark. So Torres rolled a 10. A 10 is a ballpark on his card. So then you roll the two 10-sided dice, and you look at the ballpark card, and you can see the Fenway Park card popped up there. A 10 he's a left-handed hitter, so anywhere from 1 to 51 in Fenway Park is wheelhouse, and a 10 is in that range, so it's going to be a wheelhouse result. So you have to roll again, so I need to push a computer key, and the roll again for in the wheelhouse category is 53. So Nettles against right-handed pitcher, 1 through 61 in wheelhouse is a home run, so Nettles hits a home run, and the Yankees are quickly up 2-0. This is not how the game went in real life. So here we got a 3 on Torres's card, which is defense check. So I roll the two 10-sided dice, and I get a 63. So I look on the defense chart, which is part of the game. It pops up over here on the left. And a 63 is right here in this category, 58 to 71, which tells me that it's an error check on the third baseman. So an error check goes back to the Fenway Park card. So the pink area here is an error check, so it can either be an error or an out. If that had been a range check up here, then I'd be over here, and it could either be a hit or an out. But I'm an error check, so we have to roll the dice again, and the third baseman is either a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for errors, and it will pick out 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 for the third baseman where it comes up. So the third baseman is a 3 because it popped up here. Rolled a 38 is between 1 and 54, so an error happened on the third baseman. So Chambliss is on first on an error. Here's the steal check, and he will not steal. So Roy White comes up, and the roll is an in play. It's a 45, so it's a grounder to first base. Grounder to first base. In this situation, ballpark payoff pitch baseball tells us that he's out at first and the runner goes to second. And that could have been a double play, but in this situation, it turned out to be a ground out with the runners advancing. Here's another in play, 11. A 72 for Fred Stanley is a fly to center. Here's Bucky Dent. Look, you can see Chris Chambliss tagged up, so it was a deep fly to center, and Chambliss is a 7 runner, so he tagged and went to third. In this game, there'll be more tagging and advancing on flies to right, some on flies to center, and less on flies to left, so it depends on where the ball goes. And also on base hits, it also depends on where the ball goes, and it depends on whether there's 2 outs or less than 2 outs. So that's a good feature of the game, I think. So if you get a hit with 2 outs, the runners have more of a chance of advancing because they're running on contact versus 0 or 1 out where they have to wait and see where the ball goes. So Bucky Dent comes up with a runner on third, and there's another run. Boston is getting too far behind here. Torres rolls a 5. It's patient. You go down on Bucky Dent's card, and a 27 is a double for Bucky Dent. So Bucky Dent gets a double. He will not steal, as we rolled an 8 there on the steal check. Mickey Rivers comes up. He gets a tough category from Torres and grounds out to third. So we have a 3-0 game with the Yankees. Yastrzemski gets a tough. He flies to left. These games with Guidry go pretty quick because he has all these tough categories, which usually turn into outs. But in this case, Fisk was able to Even though he got a tough pitch from left-handed pitcher Guidry, he rolled a 37, which is in his single range. So Fisk gets on base. Fisk will not try to steal. Fred Lynn comes up. He gets another tough, but this time he rolls a 13, which is a strikeout for Fred Lynn. Butch Hobson puts it in play. Oh, we got a couple runners here. In play from the 5 from Guidry, and the 3 turns out to be a single against left-handed pitcher. You can see down there in the red box. Red box right here. 3-24 is a single against a left-handed pitcher. So we got 2 runners on. Fisk went to third because of where the ball went and because there was 2 outs. All right, George Scott, we need a run here. George Scott puts it in play. But sadly, George Scott's 29 is a pop out to the second baseman. So that ends that inning. Here we go, top of the third. Tough is a strikeout. He strikes out Munson. We get a patient and a 13, which is a walk for Piniella. Piniella is going to try to steal. See the red dice as a 2, and he's a 2-B. So he's going to try to steal. We now use the B and roll the two-sided dice as a 42, and you can see a B runner against Fisk. Fisk can either be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a thrower. He must be either a 4 or a 5 because that's where the program picked out the result. So it's either B4 or B5. A 42 is in that range, 18 and 99. So Piniella steals second. So now we got a runner on second base with 1 out. And Reggie Jackson up. Reggie Jackson got a tough pitch. He fought it off and singled, and Piniella scored. So now it's 4-0. Jackson is going to steal another 2 on the red dice. Had to be 4 or less for him to steal. He's a D, so his odds of stealing are not as good as the last runner who was a B. So we roll the dice again. It's a 41. You can see the D, a D4. That tells you that Fisk is a 4 because that's the only D in that column that the program knew that that's the column it's supposed to use. A 41 is between 13 and 42, so Jackson is thrown out by Fisk. And now we have 2 outs, nobody on. Tough, it's a strikeout. Nettle strikes out, ends the inning. It's now 4-0. Jack Brohammer leads off with a base hit. Even though it was tough, he will not try to steal with an 11. Here's an in play. It's a ground out to the second baseman. The 84 down there in the pink box tells you it's a ground out to second base. Brohammer moves to second. Here's a tough. The 9 is a strikeout for Jerry Remy. Jim Rice comes up. Okay, good. Patient on the 7, the red dice 7, and then the 63 is a single. Patient against lefties. Brohammer's an 8 runner, so he's able to score, especially since there's 2 outs and he's running on contact. So they get a run. Rice will not steal. There's the steal check right there. So now Yastrzemski, I will have him hit away. And he gets another tough, of course, and he grounds out. So now we have a 4-1 game with Chambliss leading off. Patient, fly to right. Patient, ground out to second base. Patient, a walk. So Stanley gets a walk on the 41 roll. Patient, ground out to second. So Torres gets through an inning for the first time. Here's Carlton Fisk. Carlton Fisk gets a patient and he walks. He will not try to steal. He's a 2B and he rolled an 8. So that's the steal check there. Now we have Guidry pitching to Fred Lynn. All right, this is something here. Guidry rolled an 11, got ballpark. The 210-sided dice is a 35. So it's a left-handed hitter. It need to be between 51 and 35, 51 and 1 to be a wheelhouse, and it's a 25-35, so it's in there. So now I have to roll the 210-sided dice and look at the wheelhouse, the green section of Fred Lynn's card against the left-handed hitter. So anything below 54 is going to be a hit. Come on, low number. 25, okay. 25 is Fred Lynn hit 2-run homer. You can see in the red boxes right here, the 25 against left-handed pitcher is the home run. So this is making the game a little interesting. Butch Hobson strikes out on a tough. Here's an in play. George Scott gets a single. He will not try to steal. Jack Brohammer, 1 out. Burleson coming up. I'll just show you how bunt works. So I'm going to choose to bunt with Brohammer. You can see he's a B bunter. That's what I show on my screen in parentheses after his name. So put a B in there, a B bunter. Here's the bunt table pops up since I told it to bunt. Rolled an 84. Between 11 and 90 is a successful bunt. SH is successful. So you can have a pop-up, a double play. The lead runner could get thrown out. The sacrifice could work. You could miss the ball, or there could be a possible error. So in this case, the bunt is successful. And Scott moves to second with Burleson up. So let's see if the bunt made any sense. It didn't because Burleson struck out. All right, we're down to 4-3. Torres has got to get going and hold these guys. He walks the leadoff batter, Mickey Rivers. Rivers will not try to steal since he rolled a 10. Thurman Munson. Oh, okay. There's a patient. A 6 is a patient. You go down to the 67. It's a grounder to set. It's a grounder to the shortstop. And in this case, the grounder is a double play. Thurman Munson or Lou Piniella. The pitch is a defense check. The 72 tells me it's an error check on the shortstop, so it's going to be over here in this part. And my shortstop is 1 through 5, Rick Burleson. So I got to roll and see what happens. Burleson was a 5, which is the best fielding because it has the least amount of chance for error, but the 23 is a low number, so it is an error on Burleson. So there's Piniella at first. He's not going to steal. Rolled the dice to see if he was going to be a steal. There's not. There's a single to left field for Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson will not try to steal. All right, Torres, 2 outs. Let's see if he can get Nettles out. I think it's time for Torres to come out of this game. He's just getting beat up too much. So Nettles singles. Piniella scores, now 5-3. Let's bring in a reliever. In the game, they brought Bob Stanley in first, so I'll bring him in right now. Relievers can be short or long relievers, so they can last into the second or third inning that they're pitching before they get the fatigue, or if they let up 3 runs, they get fatigued. So let's see if we can get Chambliss out with Bob Stanley, and we can. Chambliss grounds out to shortstop, so Stanley comes in and shuts him down. So we got a 5-3 game now. Jerry Remy leads off with a strikeout against Guidry. Rice strikes out, and there's a patient for Yastrzemski, and he walks with a 0-3. He will not try to steal. Almost, though. It was a 3 in the red dice and need to be a 2. Carlton Fisk gets a tough and flies out to right. So it stays 5-3. Roy White doubles. These Yankees are getting, seems like a lot of hits. He will not try to steal. See, the way the game works is every time a batter gets on base and there's nobody in front of him, the game checks to see if there's a steal attempt. So there's no steal attempt here. Fred Stanley grounds out to the second baseman, which probably means White will go to third, and he did. So we got 2 outs, only 1 out runner on third. We got to get Bucky Dent to make an out without scoring a run. It's going to be a range check on the third baseman. This is not good. Range check is over here, so it'll either be a hit or an out. Let's hope for an out. And it's a single. So he was a B, and the 22 means a hit. It ended up being a single. Runners advance 1 base. Bucky Dent will not steal. Mickey Rivers gets an in play and grounds to shortstop. Bucky Dent moves up. 2 down. Thurman Munson singles. Wow. He got an in play out of Bob Stanley, and his 27 meant a single. 4 is no steal attempt. So Piniella will bat up. Piniella flies out to center. So here comes Guidry into the 6th inning. Remember, he pitched into the 7th inning, so I'll let him go through the 6th inning and then bring Gossage in sometime next inning. He gets a strikeout. Hobson Oh, we got a wheelhouse. I got a ballpark out of Guidry's card. A 74 is wheelhouse for a right-handed batter. You can see here. You can see with the right-handed batter in that wall in Fenway Park, there's a lot of wheelhouses. So he gets a wheelhouse. Let's see what happens. Here is Hobson's wheelhouse against lefties. So anything below 73 will be a hit. And he rolls a 13, and a 13 is between 1 and 46. So Hobson hits a home run. So it's 7-4. George Scott strikes out. Jack Brohammer grounds out to first base. So here we are, 7-4. Bob Stanley is in his third inning, so he's going to get fatigued pretty soon. He gets Jackson to fly out. He gets Nettles to fly out. There's a single for Chambliss to center field. Chambliss will not try to steal. Roy White grounds out to second. So that'll be the end of Stanley, because when he comes back out, he'll be fatigued, and I'll take him out of the game. Bottom of the seventh inning, Guidry pitched 1 out in the seventh inning in the actual game, so that's what we will let him do here. He gets Burleson out. So now we'll bring in Goose Gossage. You can see that the pitcher's statistics show up here. Gossage finished the game in 1978. Pitched 2 2/3 innings, which is a lot, but that's how things went back before the specialized relievers were such a big deal. So Remy leads off, doesn't lead off. There's 1 out. Gossage gets him to ground right back to him. So pitcher to first, and Jim Rice strikes out. You can see my program has figured out that Bob Stanley is fatigued. I will not leave him in fatigued, so I'll bring in a reliever. In the actual game, they brought in Andy Hassler as their second reliever, so I'll do that too. So we pitch to Fred Stanley. Fred Stanley strikes out. Hassler gets an in-play to Bucky Dent. He gets a single. Bucky will not try to steal. Mickey Rivers comes up. He flies out to left field. And Thurman Munson flies out to left field. So here we go to the bottom of the eighth, 7-4 game. Yastrzemski leads off against Gossage. He's patient. He gets a single because of 57 against the right-handed pitching. Gossage in the patient category of Yastrzemski's card is a single. Yastrzemski will not try to steal. Fisk will hit away. All right, maybe the Boston Red Sox can make a little run here. So we got on Gossage's card a 10 is a ballpark. A left-handed hitter in Fenway, 1 through 91 is wheelhouse, and it's an 80. So we got to roll those two 10-sided dice again to see what happens on the wheelhouse card of Fisk. That's going to make this makes it interesting. Fisk rolls a 28 here. You see the 28. Fisk is card against a righty. 1 through 32 is a home run. So Fisk hits a home run. It's now 7-6. Fred Lynn comes up. He strikes out. Butch Hobson comes up. He strikes out also. George Scott comes up. He flies out. So here we go into the last inning. They use Drago. So if Hassler gets in any trouble, we'll bring in Dick Drago, because that's what happened during the real game. Patient is a single to Piniella. Piniella will not steal. I'll leave Hassler in one more batter. We got a force out, we got a patient, but the 86 is in the out category for Reggie Jackson. Okay, look at this. Jackson is 4 and D for stealing. It's a 3, so he is going to try to steal. He is a D, and I think we figured out that Fisk is a 4. So he's safe. He rolls a 63. And for D, running against 4, catching, throwing, it's this column here, normal. And he rolls a 63, so he's safe. All right. 1 out. I'm going to walk Greg Nettles. Then I'm going to bring in my reliever, like they did in the real game. It's Dick Drago. Here's Dick Drago's card. You can see his card is now up there. He's a long reliever because it says Fatigue L. He gets Chambliss to pop out. Roy White comes up. Okay, sometimes there's decisions to be made for base running. And in this case, Roy White got a single, and I'm guessing that Jackson scores because it's asking me if I want Nettles to try for third, and he's at 5 runners, so that means it needs to be 5 or lower for him to be safe. I'll say yes. Why not? What the heck? So Nettles got thrown out. See, he rolled a 9 that's above the 5 that he's a 5 runner, so he's out, but Jackson scores. So that ends the inning. They get 1 run. It's 8-6. All right, Brohammer was pinch hit in the real game, so we will pinch hit for Brohammer here. They used Bailey and Dwight Evans as their pinch hitters. I'm going to use Dwight Evans in this situation. So Evans comes on to bat against Gossage. He gets it tough. He strikes out. Rick Burleson comes up. He gets a defense. Here's an air check. You can see the air check. First defense is the 3 from Gossage's card. Then the 52 takes us here. It's an air check on their second baseman. So I got to roll the dice now and see over here in this pig part of the baseball card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be the air rating for the second baseman, and then I'll roll the dice to see if it's an error and out. And good for the Red Sox. Second baseman for the Yankees is a 4 error check. So that's the row we look at. We roll a 7, so anything between 1 and 40 is an error. So Burleson gets to first base. He won't. There's the steal check. He doesn't steal, which you probably wouldn't in real life. In this game situation. Okay, Jerry Remy comes up. We got 1 out, down by 2 runs. We'll just hit away. We get it tough. We get a ground out to second base to get the force out, but Remy gets the first. Remy will try to steal. Well, this is just kind of random. In a real game, I'm guessing Remy would not be trying to steal down by 2 runs with 2 outs in the last inning. But we roll the dice and we follow the rules of the game. And he tries to steal. He's a C stealer, so we need to roll the D10s again. Okay, so that's why you probably wouldn't steal in this situation. So he's a C. The catcher, Thurman Munson, must be a 2 thrower. So we're in the fair odds. We rolled a 17. 13 through 59 is out. So that's how the game is going to end, with Remy getting thrown out with Rice at the plate. So that kind of sucks for the Red Sox. Jim Rice could have done something, but he's not going to get a chance because that's the 3rd out in the bottom of the 9th. So there you go. The Yankees won the replay 8-6. They won the real game 5-4. Here are the box scores. Bucky Dent had 3 hits, no home run, but had 2 RBIs, so he was a thorn in the Red Sox side in this game as well. Jackson and Nettles had 2 hits each. Nettles had a home run. Here are the Red Sox. They had 3 home runs. Fisk, Lynn, and Hobson all hit home runs. They scored most of their runs off home runs. Here are the pitching. Guidry started and won. Gossage finished the game, let up 2 runs. Torres started, let up 5 runs. They never caught up, so he got the loss. So that's our replay. Now we can look at the standings, and if you remember what it was before, the Yankees now have one more win, and the Red Sox have 1 more loss than they had before. They were behind by 7, now they're behind by 6. So let me show you how this works. I can zero out all the statistics just by hitting this and hitting this, and now you can look at the standings and it's all zeros. Now I could run American League and play the whole season very quickly. Every single game's getting played. Let's see the results this time. Oh, Milwaukee Brewers won. Wow, what a year they had. They smoked everyone else. Texas won on the West. Let's try it again. I'll zero them out. I'll run it. American League. Playing all the games, just like we played that one game. Brewers won again. Brewers must have been good that year. So what you can do also, you could look at a team's batting or pitching. So let's look at the Brewers, see how they did so well. Here's their batting. Look at all those home runs. Gorman Thomas, 45. Larry Heisel, 36. A lot of 300 hitters. They scored a lot of runs. Let's look at the pitching. Let's look at the Yankees, see how Guidry did. Guidry won 27-4 with 1.7 ERA. And here's their other pitchers. Gossage had 24 saves. my game, you can look at the league leaders. Let's go American League. Let's look at the batting leaders. Start with batting average. We'll say minimum at bats is 450. So the red name is the one who actually led the category in 1978. So Carew was the batting champ in 78, but he wasn't in this season replay. Rice was the home run champ. He wasn't. Here, Rice had the most RBIs in the game and in real life. Rice had the most hits, but LaFleur beat him out this replay. Brett had doubles. Rice led in triples like he did in real life. LaFleur led in stolen bases. Jim Rice led in runs scored, but LaFleur scored more runs in the actual year. Here's the slugging. Rice was the slugging leader, but in this replay, a couple of Milwaukee Brewers beat him out. And then I have a category that says MVP candidates. So this picks out batters with certain batting averages and a certain number of runs and home runs and RBIs. The actual MVP of the year was Jim Rice, so he's in red. In this replay, he had 35 and 129 RBIs, 309. I don't know. He might not have been I think Larry Heisel might have been the MVP in this replay I just did with 36 home runs and a higher batting average and on the winning team. So I'm going to say Larry Heisel was my MVP. Now I can look at the pitching leaders in the National League. We'll start with the ERA. Guidry 1.7. He was the leader in real life too. He's very good in this game. Innings pitched is there. Palmer pitched more innings in real life. Ryan had more strikeouts, but Guidry beat him out in this game. Guidry had the most wins. Most losses was actually Rick Wise in real life. Gossage had the most saves in real life and in this game. Games pitched, John Hiller. And here's my Cy Young candidates. In this case, Ron Guidry was the Cy Young winner, and I would say he's the Cy Young winner in this game. 27 wins and 1.7 ERA. Milwaukee, Larry Sorensen at 22. He had much higher ERA, so I'm going to give it to Guidry. Guidry is the Cy Young Award winner. So that is how this game plays. I hope you enjoyed the replay and this game of Pine Tar Baseball. Or not Pine Tar, I'm confused. The other game I programmed, the Payoff Pitch Baseball. I like the way that the pitchers and batters interact in this game. You can see there's two cards here on the screen. The pitcher, you get a category, and then you go over to the batter's card each time. So some of the games, it's always the batter's card, and the pitcher can make some kind of modification to it. In some games, 50% it's the batting card, and 50% it's the pitching card. Here it's a little more both in this game, which I like. So with that being said, I will sign off and hope you enjoyed the Red Sox losing to the Yankees like they did in real 1978 one-game playoff. So signing off, good night.